Alright, so here we are, working on my everyday ride. Not what we want to be working on, but this is what pays for the hobby, so we got to get her fixed. And as you can see, like I said the last time, I had lost first, third, and fourth gear. Come to find out, it was a solenoid within the valve body. See here, this is a good one, this is the bad one. We've already got her all taken apart, but $30 part, that would have ran us over $1,000 for laboring to get it fixed. So we decided to take it upon ourselves and get her whipped. So as you can see here, we've taken the battery out, the battery box, fuse box, all the wiring, all the electrical is unhooked. Up under here, drop the caliper, tie rods, struts are unhooked, and you can kind of see here, this is the pan or the side cover for the transmission. I'm going to pause here because I noticed that I had actually missed a couple things, and I felt that it was extremely essential for those of you who come across this video and are looking for it for some assistance. So those things include the CV shaft. We'd noted that we had taken the caliper off, and with the caliper obviously comes the rotor, and most often with this process they drop the subframe completely. We just actually unhooked it and dropped it down a little bit to get this out, but we're hoping. We've actually got to the solenoid itself from the top here. This is the valve body. Most of your valve bodies are right up underneath the transmission. You can drop the pan and you can get to it, but on these front wheel drive vehicles like this, it's a lot tougher. It's on the side of the transmission, so you actually have to take the panel off the side here, the side cover, and get to the valve body there. So I don't know if it's kind of tough to see, but here's the connections for the solenoids. Are right here. There's two pins and there's pistons inside this valve body, and here's the solenoid. We're gonna go ahead and change both solenoids since we're in here, and get her all buttoned back up. They say this is usually roughly around a 5 to 6 hour project, and I think we've been working on it for a few hours now, 2-3 hours, and we've gotten to the solenoids themselves. We just got to get her all put back together now, but I don't know that necessarily that we're gonna be finishing it up completely tonight, but we'll see. But there she is. That's my beaut of an everyday driver. Old girl's got 180,000 miles on her, and she's been great, and blessed to have a vehicle to be able to drive back and forth, even though she's giving me some troubles right now. So that's today's project. Alright, I should have been videoing that. It took us about 10 seconds to put those two solenoids in there. So all this work for 10 seconds of a $30 solenoid. But we got her in there. We're going to put her back together, and she's going to be running good. So we're excited.
This right here, 11 inches.
I'm just trying to get a little clip.
Let's see what we got here.
see them. Just make sure.
Yeah, right here.
A bit too far already. Just take it out and see what's up.
Way off the mark. That measures 5. 5.5. Yeah, shows it to go that way a little bit.
Even more?
Yeah.
Okay,
Not that much.
Well, you can have that there. That's about right there, actually. That's square.
Close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem. You're gonna have a fun time getting a crane on that side.
I just have to hold it.
There you go.
Yeah, I can. I'm gonna try to push down as much as I can. How much did we need? Push it up over top of it. More?
Well, it's gotta be, it's gotta touch it. I don't think we're gonna be able to get it.
It's gonna be in that much? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, 'cause it's gotta be touching this.
Yeah. Bring it up a little more. Like that.
Touching yet?
No. It is now. We're gonna be able to get it off of there.
I know.
Wow. Let me get this over there and see if I can push with my belly. I hope she's been enough. Put the cardboard in there and see what it looks like.
Alright, here's the tank we've been building. This is a puke tank. Everything's cut, broke. All we gotta do now is weld on the sides, close it up, finish weld it. Then we gotta add a couple tubes and drain plug and a few tabs to mount it into the car. But like I said, it's a puke tank, so any blow by, any oil that gets into valve covers will actually come into these burn down tubes that we come into the burn down tubes out of the valve cover into the top frame rail here, as you can see, both sides. And there is a little drain plug here in the front, but if anything gets past, or when and if it does, it'll go down this top frame rail all the way to the back of the car, both sides. And you can see here the tube, top frame rail, tubes that exit that top frame rail, and then that tank is going to be mounted up in here. It's kind of tough to see. It'll be mounted up in here. There's the, so you can get the tabs. You can see one of the tabs there, and the other tab right there. So got a little cleaning up to do back here, but this actually So here's the cutout of that side. So this will kind of mount up in here like this. Kind of see that. And yeah, so really all we got left to do on it is weld it up, get it cleaned up, and put it in the car. We also got to add a baffle into it as well. So before we weld these sides on, we're going to be putting a baffle on the inside. And then she should be done. All right, we're going to take a pause here, kind of share with you guys what we're doing. So, as we noted earlier in the video, this is a puke tank, blow-by tank, whatever you want to call it. But we have obviously put the tubes in here. We've drilled the other hole for the tube down here at the bottom for the breather tube there. And what we've been working on, what you've been seeing in the video, is the baffle. So originally wanted to put 2 baffles in here, but we mounted these tubes pretty high here just due to the fact that, you know, for some crazy reason, if this thing started filling up or started sloshing around, you know, we'll try to mitigate what's going back down into these tubes. So we weren't able to fit 2 baffles. You can see the one's going to kind of run through here, and obviously doesn't really make sense to put another little one up here at the top. We could, but we changed up a little bit, built the baffle. You can see there's some holes drilled into it, so that way it can breathe, and if anything were to get through there, it can, and it's not 100% closed off. And we've also thrown these fins on here. Never seen this done before. Not to say that it's right, not to say that it's wrong, but it made sense to us because, you know, when there is blow by, there is going to be pressure coming through these things, and it's going to shoot oil out of them. So this baffle is designed, it's going to kind of sit right in this general area. You can see there's no holes drilled in here where the tubes stick out, so it'll hit the bottom of the baffle, and then also these fins. and deflect everything in a downward motion. So that way it's not blowing up above the baffle. Because if it were to get above the baffle, here's the breather tube that slides in all the way up. See that? It's going to sit about an inch away from the top of the tank, and that allows it to breathe. So we're trying to mitigate anything from getting up in there as much as we can. So that's kind of what it's going to look like on the inside. So really all we got to do now is weld the baffle in, weld this tube in, weld both side plates on, and then drain plug right here in the front, the lowest point of the tank itself. So I think it looks good, and we hope it works good. We'll see. There she blows. Now it's time to get her closed up, so you won't see any of this stuff when we get the sides on. That'll be a wrap. Getting close. Alright, that's virtually a wrap for the tank. See, it's mounted in there pretty nice. Fits pretty good. Really all we got to do now is, it's not tight in there all the way. You can see we didn't tighten up the lock nuts on there, but we got that, and then we got to run the tubing, and we got to sand down the tank itself and clean it up. But get some flex hoses here to run there, and then the breather tube. And our brake line's kind of right there close, but we're gonna pull that brake line back and then run that brake line down and around, and then we'll just cross them. We'll make it all work. But that's what it looks like in there. Let me back up a little bit, get a little bit better view of it. You never see it in there. Clean. So we cut these bolts off because it's a pretty tight bend there. We weren't actually able to get those bolts in and out very easy, so we just went ahead and cut them off. It gives me the opportunity to finish weld it a little bit easier. And we took the bolts and we actually wobbled out the hole just a little bit and took the bolts. You still see you got the Allen head on the top there. And we rounded off a couple of them. We only have 4 that are like this. So that way you can get it in there fairly easy. Good to go. on the headers. We got everything, for the most part, pretty well finished welded. Other than the wastegate tubing, we want to get everything thrown back on the car and make sure and ensure that everything is happy and marries up and there was no shift or anything like that. Obviously, when things get hot, they can move around a little bit. So we just want to double check to make sure that the wastegates line up, and then we'll go ahead and finish weld that, probably 45 minutes to an hour's worth of work. But as you can see here, everything else is finished welded. Happy with the way it turned out. And, you know, once again, I'm no professional fab shop. We don't do this for a living. We don't do it every day. But with the welds themselves, we're extremely happy with them. I think they look really good, and, you know, it's going to do the job. So, most importantly. And we are happy that it only took a few days, you know, 2-3 days to finish and complete this. We didn't want to bring too much content when it comes to sitting here welding. We didn't want to roll out multiple channels of us sitting here welding on these things, but they're done now. Now the next step, we're considering and trying to figure out if we want to go through with the chroming process. I'm leaning towards doing so. I think it'll look really good. I know, you know, it's going to get hot. They're going to blue, but my opinion, it'll look better than the state that they're in right now. And a lot of people will just leave them like this, and I know they look good, but Dad and I are all about the looks, and, you know, we like the shine. So we're considering getting them chromed and putting them back on the car that way. So we'll see what happens. At least for sure, the bullhorns are going to get chromed, and we'll see about the headers and the rest of the components there under the hood. So, but yeah, that's a wrap on those. We got a few other odds and ends to button up, and then hopefully before too long, we'll start working on plumbing and electrical. And yeah, that's just one step closer to getting this thing up and running and bringing you some extremely cool content. So stay tuned, bear with us while we're finishing this thing up, and we'll keep sharing what we're doing and hopefully teach a few people some things on the way, and you know, we'll be learning as well. So we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week, and you know, I can't stress it enough to remember to smash that subscribe button and stay positive. You know, if you ever need help or assistance with anything, reach out. I'm more than happy to assist in any way I can, and I know there are others out there as well. So, you know, stay strong, stay positive, and like always, God bless.